We would formally like to welcome you to Surge Staffing. Surge was established in Columbus, Ohio in 2005. We are a professional staffing and solutions firm specializing in temporary staffing, permanent placement, and workforce management. Our national network of branches and resources has connected more than 72,000 satisfied employees with thousands of satisfied clients. Before you begin working, we require that you watch our safety orientation video. The purpose of this video is to introduce you to a variety of safety topics. Your host employer will provide you with site-specific safety training. Safety is everyone's responsibility. Pay close attention as this video will help you and others to stay safe in the work environment. Upon completion, you will take a quiz requiring a passing score of 70%. If you are injured at work or asked to perform an unsafe task, you are required to contact Surge 24-hour hotline number at 888-248-5575. Slips, trips, and falls. Areas that could possess slip, trip, and fall hazards must be marked by the host employer. These markings and/or barricades must be visible by everybody and substantial enough to prevent a fall. Cords or hoses across walking, working surfaces during production hours is prohibited. Watch for hazards such as fluid, uneven floors, protrusions, or other obstacles. Be aware of your surroundings. Avoid wet and slippery surfaces. Avoid obstacles such as uncovered cords or clutter. Avoid wrinkled carpeting and uneven floors. Be cautious in poor lighting. Always wear appropriate footwear. Industrial ergonomics. Ergonomics is the process of designing or arranging workplaces and systems so they fit the people who use them. Poor ergonomics in the workplace can contribute to injuries, whether it be from a one-time activity or the result of years of repetitive motion. By understanding basic ergonomics and its interaction with your job tasks, you can help prevent injuries to yourself and work more efficiently and comfortably to promote long-term health. Some example of proper ergonomics are working in a neutral position, reduce excessive force, keep everything within reach, work at proper heights, reduce excessive motions, minimize fatigue, move, exercise, and stretch, utilize proper lifting techniques. Back safety is a cornerstone of an effective ergonomics program. Lifting correctly can prevent injuries. Safe lifting procedures and load-carrying techniques are crucial to preventing painful and expensive injuries in the workplace. Do not attempt to lift by bending forward. Bend your hips and knees to squat down to your load, keep it close to your body, and straighten your legs to lift. Never lift a heavy object above shoulder level. Avoid turning or twisting your body while lifting or holding a heavy object. Ergonomic processes are effective in reducing the risk of developing musculoskeletal disorders. Proper ergonomics will keep you healthy, less fatigued, improve your production, improve your quality, increase job satisfaction. Forklift safety. Forklifts are used frequently in a manufacturing environment and can be dangerous if not operated properly. Forklift operators must be qualified and should be operated by trained personnel only. Routine checks should be performed before driving, including brakes, steering, controls, warning devices, mast, and tires. After use, park in designated areas, lower the forks, turn the forklift off, and remove the key. Never leave a forklift running while unattended. Appropriate clothing should be worn. Hands and gloves should be cleaned to avoid sliding off controls. Carefully use the steps and hand grabs when entering the forklift. Adjust mirrors and make sure controls are within reach and in the proper position. Do not start the forklift prior to fastening the seatbelt and make sure body parts are safely inside the cabin. Follow all worksite rules and guidelines during operation. Only drive in designated roadways. Observe all signs and clearance heights. Operate at a safe speed forward and backwards. Take corners and turns slowly. Avoid hazards such as liquid, bumps, and uneven ground. Use the horn when closing in on a corner or doorway and around people. Keep a safe distance from other forklifts. Make sure loads are correctly stacked and carefully check the load to ensure it is stable. Never let another person ride on the forklift. Only refuel forklifts in designated areas when the forklift is turned off. Forklift safety is important for the operator as well as the other workers. Be sure to always follow worksite rules, signage, and drive in designated roadways. Operate the forklift at appropriate speed and safe distance from other forklifts. Make sure the forklift is in good working condition before operating. Never allow others to ride on the forklift. Make sure loads are properly stacked with clear visibility. Personal protective equipment. Personal protective equipment, or PPEs, refer to protective clothing, hard hats, safety glasses, steel-toed shoes, earplugs, gloves, respiratory protection, or other garments or equipment designed to protect you from injury or infection. There are many hazards in a manufacturing environment, such as sharp objects, heat sources, and chemicals. PPEs are to protect you from those hazards. Surge representative or your host employer will supply you with the required PPE. Be sure your PPE fits properly and is maintained in good condition. PPE is to protect you against health and safety risks. Always wear appropriate PPE such as hard hat, safety glasses, goggles or shields, gloves, safety vest and high visibility clothing, footwear, respiratory protection, hearing protection. Working at heights. You may at times be required to work at heights, whether it be on a step ladder, extension ladder, lift, or scaffold. Working at heights can be very dangerous if safety precautions are not taken. When climbing or descending a ladder, always use the 3 points of contact rule: 1 hand and 2 feet, or 2 hands and 1 foot. Be sure ladders and scaffolding are in good condition, secured at the top or bottom, and used on a level and stable surface. When working at heights above 4 feet, such as rooftops or other lifts, be sure to use your proper fall arrest systems and PPE. There are 3 fall arrest items working together to keep you safe: an anchor, a harness, and a connecting device. Always use precaution and common sense when working at any height. OSHA doesn't require fall protection in scissor lifts unless the platform extends beyond the wheelbase. OSHA does require fall protection for articulating boom lifts, however. When working at heights above 4 feet, always use proper fall protection. Be sure to identify any potential hazards on the floor and above. Use appropriate PPE. Ladders are on an even surface and secured. Never stand on the top rung of a ladder. Use 3-point contact. Machine safeguarding. Specifically, it is a shield or device covering hazardous areas of a machine to prevent contact with body parts or to control hazards like chips and noise from exiting the machine. Machine guards are to protect you from injury while working near or operating equipment. Never penetrate a guarded area without shutting off the machine and following proper lockout-tagout procedures. Your host employer will show you specific machine safeguards. Machine safeguarding is there for your protection. Never attempt to bypass safeguards to accomplish a task. Lockout-tagout. Lockout-tagout is a safety procedure which is used to ensure dangerous machines are properly shut off and not able to restart prior to completion of maintenance or service. Lockout-tagout is required whenever servicing, maintenance, or modification is being performed on equipment. All sources of hazardous energy must be shut off and secured with a lock and tag clearly displayed. No entry into any machine or equipment will be permitted unless the proper equipment-specific lockout procedure is followed. Lockout-tagout will most likely be handled by your host employer. This is an alert to you to never access hazardous equipment, and it is only safe to enter when lockout-tagout procedures have been followed. Every person performing work on a lockout piece of equipment must have their own individual lock on that piece of equipment, called group lockout. Hand and power tools. Tools are such a common part of our lives that it is difficult to remember that they may pose hazards. Associates who use hand and power tools and are exposed to the hazards of falling, flying, abrasive, and splashing objects, or to harmful dusts, fumes, mists, vapors, or gases, must wear appropriate PPE. All electrical connections for these tools must be suitable for the type of tool and the working conditions. such as wet, dusty, or flammable vapors. 5 basic safety rules can help prevent hazards associated with the use of hand and power tools. All electrical cords must have proper grounding and be in good condition. There should be no electrical tape used on any portable tools or cords. All cords should be kept away from sharp edges, heat, and oil. They should also be cleared away from walking pathways to reduce trip hazards. 5 basic safety rules can help prevent hazards associated with the use of hand and power tools. Keep all tools in good condition with regular maintenance. Use the right tool for the job. Examine each tool and cords for damage before use and do not use damaged tools. Operate tools according to the manufacturer's instructions. Provide and use properly the correct PPE. Power press operator safety. Never operate a press not equipped with adequate point of operation safety guards or safety devices. Do not adjust or remove guards and safety devices to make repairs to your press without authorization. Report all unusual noises or loose parts on your press to your host employer supervisor. If the problem is not solved, contact Surge hotline at 888-248-5575. Always wear appropriate PPE. Keep your work area clean and free of tools and objects. When operating a power press machine, wear proper PPE, read and follow signage instructions. Never operate a press without proper instruction. Be aware of safeguards. Follow lockout-tagout procedures. Use proper ergonomics. Welding safety. Welding is the most common method of joining metals in the industry today. General hazards include impact, penetration, harmful dust, smoke, fumes, heat and light radiation. Welding smoke is a mixture of very fine particles, fumes, and gases. Welding leads must be in good condition and proper PPE must be worn. Before any welding is conducted outside of a designated welding area, never look at the arc without proper eye protection. A responsible individual must inspect the area and identify precautions to be taken, preferably on a written hot works permit. Fire extinguishers must be ready for immediate use. A fire watch lasting at least 30 minutes after the welding or cutting operations is required if more than a minor fire might develop. All combustibles must be moved 35 feet away or properly protected or shielded. Welding is a skilled craft. Never attempt to weld without proper training. Be sure to wear proper PPE. Remove all flammables and safety hazards. Never look at the arc without proper eye protection. Avoid breathing fumes. Have fire extinguisher and fire watch. Heat stress. Many manufacturing facilities can create a hot and humid work environment. Exposure to heat and physical work can cause illness and even death. Symptoms of heat illnesses include headache, dizziness, fainting, muscle cramps, confusion and nausea, or vomiting. Understand these symptoms to avoid further complications. Heat illness can be avoided by drinking cool water on a frequent basis. At least 1 pint of water every hour is needed. The importance of staying hydrated cannot be overemphasized. If you or anyone else has signs of heat stress, it is essential to get out of the heat, rest, and drink plenty of water. Heat stress and heat stroke can be a medical emergency. When working in hot conditions, be sure to drink plenty of water before and during your shift. Take breaks in shaded or cooler areas. Use cooling pads. Wear appropriate PPE at all times, regardless of temperature. Hazard Communication, or HAZCOM, and Global Harmonized System, or GHS. GHS is a system for harmonizing hazard classification criteria and chemical hazard communication elements worldwide. HAZCOM. OSHA's Hazard Communication Standard is designed to protect employees from hazardous chemicals used or stored in the work setting through labeling and safety data sheets. Hazardous chemical is any substance or chemical which is a health hazard or physical hazard. Hazardous chemicals should be clearly labeled through written text or graphics. The label provides information to the workers on specific hazardous chemicals. While labels provide important information for anyone who handles, uses, stores, and transports hazardous chemicals, they are limited by design in the amount of information they can provide. Safety data sheets, or SDS. Safety data sheets, which must accompany hazardous chemicals, are the more complete resource for details regarding hazardous chemicals. Safety data sheets provide information on the properties of the hazardous chemicals and how they affect the health and safety of the workplace, including health hazards, safe handling, storage procedures, and emergency procedures. Hazardous chemicals can cause serious illness and injury. Be sure to read and understand labels and SDS, wear proper PPE, never mix chemicals. Emergencies, first aid, and blood-borne pathogens. Associates must be prepared to respond in first aid and blood-borne pathogen situations as well as in any other emergencies. All associates must be able to identify the nearest fire alarms, as well as how to activate them and when to report. Prior to work beginning, you must understand the emergency procedures at the host employer location. That includes emergency evacuation, take cover alarm systems, and evacuations. Emergencies can happen at any time, whether it be weather, fire, or other unforeseen incidents. Be sure to be aware of your surroundings. Know evacuation routes, shelter areas, and gathering points. Know where fire extinguishers and first aid kits are stored. Your host employer may have practice drills. Know how to communicate emergencies at your host employer. Assignment changes, unsafe acts, or injuries. If the host company does not provide you with site-specific training, it is your responsibility to let us know. If you are injured at work or asked to perform any unsafe task, you are required to contact the Surge 24-hour hotline at 888-248-5575. Surge is a drug-free workplace. There will be no tolerance for unsafe acts or horseplay. Food-borne illness. Food-borne illness is a common, costly, yet preventable public health problem. Each year, 1 in 6 Americans get sick by consuming contaminated foods or beverages. Food hazards, including germs and chemical contaminants, can enter the food supply at any point from farm to table. In addition, the food itself can cause severe adverse reactions in people who are allergic to it. Strictly following safe food handling guidelines can prevent food contamination. Your host employer will provide specific training. Personal hygiene. Body, hair, clothes, and shoes must be clean. Fingernails should be short and clean. Wash hands thoroughly before work, after using the restroom or handling unclean objects. Do not handle food with any open sores, cough, cold, or illness. Keep your hands away from your face, pimples, mouth, nose, ears, eyes, and hair. All hair should be confined so that loose hairs cannot get into the food or equipment. Hair restraint should be worn at all times. Eating, drinking, and the use of tobacco is prohibited in preparation and dishwashing areas. Hand sanitizers may not be used in lieu of hand washing. Follow host employer's instructions regarding food preparation and never cross-contaminate foods. Follow host employer's thawing, refrigeration, and storage practices. Dishwashing. Regardless of dishwashing method, all items must be left to air dry. Never towel dry items or place in storage while wet. A 3-compartment sink is used when dishwashing manually to wash, rinse, and sanitize. Be sure to store utensils and equipment to avoid contamination. Keep items off the ground. Cleaning. Toxic chemicals used for cleaning must be stored away from the food. Pesticides must be stored separate from food or food contact items. Clean surfaces thoroughly, and often with clean, hot, soapy water or host employer's approved solutions. Allow surfaces to air dry. Safety. Always be cautious when using sharp utensils or hazardous equipment. Watch for slippery floors or slip-trip hazards. Whenever working in food production, be sure to maintain good personal hygiene, utilize proper dishwashing methods including 3-compartment sink, and allow all items to air dry. Store all utensils and equipment off the ground and away from chemicals and contaminants. Store any toxic cleaning chemicals and pesticides away from food products. Be careful when using sharp utensils, hazardous equipment, harmful chemicals, and pesticides. Wear proper PPE, hairnets, and skin cover. Now that you have completed the safety orientation video, you are now required to complete a quiz with a 70% or higher passing score. If you do not understand any of the information in this video, contact your Surge representative for clarification. Remember, safety is everyone's responsibility.